Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, guys. It is November 4th. Believe it or not, we are already in November. This year has flown by. Oh my gosh, I've lost track of how many property tours, but we do these property tours every Saturday morning. My name is Scott Buckholtz. I am your host. We have Yas Hakan, our co host. And again, we love doing these property tours every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. I do believe we are not going to do one on Thanksgiving Saturday. Let everybody spend that day with family and friends and just celebrate the weekend and give thanks for everything. And so we're going to take that Saturday off. But next Saturday we'll be back on. We'll be over on the East Coast, and again, the reason we do these guys is we love going around the country as we're a national community of investors and highlighting and sharing other investors in our community. We love to hear their story. We love to hear how they began. And today, if you're a guest on, we really appreciate you taking some time and jumping on with us. I got started a little bit the same way. I got involved in an event. I kind of plugged in. That was 8 years ago, actually 9 years ago. I just celebrated, no, eight, I apologize, just celebrated my 8th year anniversary with the community. And so I think you guys will love what we're doing today, and you'll love Corrie and Ron's story. So again, thanks for jumping on, and let's go ahead as it's 3 after the top of the hour, and let's bring Corrie out. Corrie, can you share your screen?
Absolutely. Just a moment.
You're fine.
There we go.
Well, you showed us your screen. We got to see your beautiful face, but you took it off right away.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted me to jump in there. Sorry about that. There we
There
go.
you are. No. There's a lot of people on today that don't know who you are and maybe have never met you before or seen you before. So I thought it'd be great to share. We appreciate that. Love your glasses.
Oh, thanks.
Those are really cool.
They're for
Very
old eyes, my
cool.
friend.
Oh my gosh. So Corrie, you've been so gracious and humble to take, or not humble, but gracious and very giving of your time to come on today. And you've done this a few times before. So, but we're going to have a lot of new people on today. And so we'll love starting off by talking a little bit about, your story, about you and Ron, and kind of like what you guys were doing beforehand, and then how you kind of got into real estate investing. Did you read a book? Did you go to a meeting? Did you watch some reality show? What did you do? What was it that kind of triggered and like, I want to be a real estate investor? And then how do you found our community and why you decided to plug in with us? You're there in Arizona. I'm all the way. I live in northern Kentucky, Cincinnati. I'm actually right now in Michigan for a few days, but so go ahead and take over and let everybody know a little bit about yourself.
Oh. Hey, everyone. We're Ron and Corrie. Ron is missing at the moment. He's working on some projects here at the house that need some attention before he leaves for his work travel. So I apologize that he's not here with me at the moment. But Ron and I were unintentional investors back before and during the real estate crash in the early 2000s. We, acquired properties because they were available. And unfortunately, we didn't know what we were doing. And we lost a lot of money. We thought we had the pieces in place to do what we needed to do and start, building that portfolio. And unfortunately, the crash hit. We couldn't pivot. We had no idea what a pivot was or what it looked like. And we lost a ton of money, unfortunately. At that point, we were living in Pennsylvania, and we moved to Indiana for Ron's W-2. And we've always found ourselves surrounded by people in the real estate industry in our circle of friends, whether they're realtors, investors, people who have interest in real estate investing, but they've always been part of our circle of friends. We've never sought them out. It's just happened organically. And when the opportunity arose, when we made it to Arizona and finally had intention of, figuring out how to do this the right way, right? We knew how to do it the wrong way. We already learned that lesson. Um, how do we do it the right way? What are we doing wrong? How do we learn what we need to learn? And it was funny because our introduction to the community came from a love note between two third graders. And people are scratching their head at this moment. What do third graders have to do with real estate investing, right? So, as luck would have it, a new little boy transferred into my twins' classroom, and he sent our daughter a little love note. And she, responded like, I don't know how to answer this. What do I say? I'm only 8 years old, but we went through all those little things. And then a couple weeks later, we were at a classmate's birthday party, and his mom comes up to me, and she says to me, "So I hear you're Natalie's mom." And I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "I hear your daughter sent my son a love note." I'm like, "That's funny because I heard just the opposite." She's like, I think I believe you. And we started to get to know each other, and part of that process is, who are you, what do you do, and they happen to be part of the community and real estate investors. Her husband is also a realtor out here in Arizona. And as we learned more about it and we attended some events, it became obvious that it was the thing for us to do. But we were very gun shy because of all the losses that we've had in the past. So it was definitely a tough journey for us to take those steps and make that leap into the community and start to trust and learn. However, the turning point was our mentor in the community, or our guide in the community, whatever title you would like to give him, um, out here in Arizona. He literally sat at our table for 2.5 hours, answering every single question we had. And that, coupled with our financial advisor going, "Finally, you guys are going to think about real estate investment." He's like, "I told you need to really consider this." He's like, "This is something you need to do." So with those encouraging words from him, giving us that extra little shove, and our local mentor within the community, sitting there and literally being very, very patient and answering all of our questions, helped us make the leap forward to join the community and really exercise on the value that we saw. We saw the value. That wasn't the issue. We knew that it was a piece that we needed. But again, we've been there, done that a few times with different businesses, and we were gun shy. But I can tell you that it was worth it. The headaches, the heartaches, the stress, the struggle. I wish I had known it back in my 20s. If I had found this community back in my 20s, my life would look very different today. Very, very different. But for 30 years, we struggled a little bit, or a lot of it.
Well, I think, Corrie, I so appreciate you sharing your story. I've heard your story before, but we've got a lot of folks on today that this is the first time they've been introduced to you, and or maybe even to the community. And I think a lot of people can resonate with, your struggles, and things like that. And so thank you for sharing that. And so you guys got into real estate and back, and you were involved when you talk about the crash. For folks that are on today, that you might have some young folks on that don't remember that, but that was back in, what was it, 08, 09, that time
Oh,
frame?
eight,
Is
oh,
that what you're
nine,
referring?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So, and one of the things that really, really grabbed me when I got it started is that the support and just the mentorship from our educators, and just it's one thing to have. You mentioned the word mentor. Maybe would you say advisor, or what was
Yeah,
the other word? But
advisor, guide, whatever title you would like
whatever.
to give that
Yeah,
person who's supporting you.
right. So it's great to have a great mentor, but we have so many at our fingertips as we have some of the best educators in the country. And
We
so
do.
I really gravitated toward that. That was like, okay, I'm going to learn from the best of the best. So I don't know what you saw in it that attracted you. Go ahead though.
Yeah, for us, it was a live event in Scottsdale, and my husband had attended a couple, and he was like, "Okay, I really think you need to go take a look at this as well before we, have that conversation of what are we doing, how are we doing it, are we doing it?" He's like, I think you really need to dig a little bit deeper into this as well. So I went to a live event. It was one of the instructors in the community, amazing, amazing person. I will never forget. It was Chris Aubin, and one of the most humble, amazing people you would ever want to meet. And our community is just filled with those people. It's just very warm, very welcoming. Everybody wants to reach out and extend a hand. But at the end of that event, I went to my car and I didn't call my husband on the way home. I called my best friend and I said to him, I'm like, hey, have you ever thought about real estate investing? And he was like, every single day. He's like, I hate my job. He's like, I think about it every single day. And he and I had quite a conversation. And I got home and Ron and I had a conversation as well. And one thing led to another. And here we are. Almost almost 5 years. Holy crap. 5 years this month.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So today we're talking about you're sharing a deal that you guys are doing
Mhm.
and that you've kind of converted some strategy. You've pivoted and leveraged what's going on, and you've been able to shift. And so currently you're doing, and I won't take steal any thunder from you, but this is just one strategy. You guys have done other strategies as well, correct?
Correct. Mhm.
So so talk a little bit about this property, how you found it, what your mindset was as far as going into it. What were you thinking? Your options were on strategies, and then kind of go through the progress and how it all came to where it's at today.
So when we moved to Tucson, we did not have a property. Like we didn't buy a property right away. We wanted to know the area. We wanted to look around. We wanted to make sure, we were getting where we needed to be as a family. And for us, fortunately, school district is not an issue because our twins do remote school. So and finding a school district was not an issue. It was a matter of finding a family and a community that was comfortable for us. So when you see these pictures, please know that we lived literally right next door to this property in a rental. Um, and as you do, you get to know your neighbors a little bit. And the couple that owned this particular property was an Air Force couple. And as we got to know them, they ended up getting their orders to go to his next duty station, which was back east in Connecticut. And they needed to sell their house. And they were like, hey, let's talk about this. So we sat down, we had a conversation. They talked with a realtor as well. I mean, I told them, hey, go talk to your realtor. You guys need to do what's best for you, right? What I may offer may not be the best for you. You need to do what's best for you guys in this situation. And they needed to sell, but remain in the property for about 4 months because they needed the funds to be able to purchase a property at the height of the market frenzy that we had just here, a year and a half ago. And they needed to buy a property back east. So they had something when they needed to relocate. And we were able to afford them that opportunity, and they walked away with more money in their pocket than they would have had they used the realtor. And it really all came down to talking with them, building that relationship, and really showing them the numbers.
Awesome, awesome. So again, wow, a deal just right next door. I love how that happened, how that came together. And then, having the conversation, understanding their needs, the fact that they had to live there for 4 months or needed to stay for 4 months, what would they needed to sell, and you were able to come up with something or work through something. So when you initially looked at this property, you evaluated it, and were you looking at it as a flip, or how were you looking at it in the original when you first did it?
Oh my gosh. No,
That
this
involved.
property, yeah, this property, the kids did a complete flip on the property, with the exception of the tile floor that you'll see in the kitchen and dining room area. But aside from that, they literally went in and flipped the entire property while they lived there. So there was very little work that needed done. The strategy on this was that it would be a short-term rental initially.
And so let's talk a little bit about short-term rental. Obviously, one of the big things that you consider when you're, making that uh, business decision of going short-term rental, you look at the location and the draw and what was around it. So what in your mind is a short-term rental was around that was like, this is going to be a really good short-term rental?
Yeah, so we have rodeo grounds nearby this property, a lot of hiking, biking, climbing trails very nearby. We're also 15 minutes from the University of Arizona campus, as well as several major hospitals, and we're 20 minutes from the airport. So it's far enough away that you don't get a lot of the noise and headache, but it's also close enough that you can be just about anywhere. For those who aren't familiar with Tucson, it's not as densely populated as the Phoenix area, but it is still pretty densely populated. However, it is very spread out. It's very wide. Um, the houses are not packed on top of each other down here like you would see in, your larger metro areas.
Awesome. Yeah. So you looked at it, analyzed it, saw that there was enough interest points, things that would make this a really good short-term rental. So that's how you started off, and you had to do. You're talking about flooring, so you had to do very little inside the property. Do you want to show some pictures for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share my screen and we can take a peek at it. And here we are. This house is a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house with a 3-car garage. It's approximately 2,200 square feet, give or take a little bit. And as we go through the pictures, you'll see uh, they did a lot of landscaping in the backyard to make it a little mini oasis while they lived there. So we do have the garage space available. You see we have a cute little entryway. And as you walk in, the picture on the right, top right, is the entryway. And we have it set up with a futon there on the left corner of the picture for extra sleeping space for a child or whatever, a small sitting space, a desk area, and a welcome area right inside the door where people can hang their bags and they can sit their purse, whatever. And we have a little book for people to sign in, and the Wi-Fi, all that information is right there available for them as they walked in the door. As you move forward through that space, you walk into the kitchen, dining, living, grand room. Some people would call her great room. Some people would call this area. And you can see it's pretty good size. We actually have 2 tables here in the dining room. And so it does seat 8 comfortably. We have an eating bar here with bar stools, and it is a chef's kitchen. So the people who built this property actually put the upgraded kitchen into it. So it has the double ovens, the cooktop, all those nice little features that people like to see.
Nice.
I'm trying there. Oh, too far. There we go. So this is just
Okay.
another view of that area so that you can kind of get a feel for what that layout looks like. And like I said, the kids had that owned it actually did a lot of upgrades. They upgraded the countertop. They have a granite sink, stainless steel appliances, high-end stainless steel appliances. They gave us the opportunity to purchase about 50% of the furniture that you see in this property as part of the deal. So we also acquired a lot of the furniture, which then reduced our setup costs as a short-term rental. Okay, and then, let me go back one second. So at the end of the kitchen here, there's a little hallway. And as you go through that hallway, it takes you to the master bedroom. And as you can see, this is a queen size bed, and there's plenty of room for a little sitting area, a huge custom master closet that the kids put in as well. They redid the bathroom, so it big, walk-in shower, but it still had the room for a soaker tub. It was just, they did a really, really good job with this. And then off of that hallway is the main bathroom, which you see here, the other two bedrooms, and the laundry room, as well as access to the garage and the door that you see right there in that top left picture. Then as you go out those French doors that you saw in the very first pictures, you come out into the yard and you can see they have pet-friendly turf that they put in. They built a retaining wall, planted, the trees were already planted, but they put a retaining wall there to hold everything. Landscape, they built the fire pit that you see. They created a barbecue area and the storage that you see as well.
That is amazing backyard. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we really loved this property as a short-term rental, is because that backyard is, it's perfect for that type of environment. People can come out there, they can have their barbecue, they can have their fire pit, they can, relax in the backyard, read a book, have a cup of coffee, they can have a party in the backyard if they're celebrating something. They could also go out there, have the yard games and things like that. So when it was a short-term rental and we were running that strategy, it really worked well.
Awesome. So yes, I absolutely agree. It's so beautiful. You're getting a lot of compliments on the property. Um, so at what point did you decide to shift, and talk a little bit about the strategy you've moved to, and maybe what were the determining factors for that?
So as we said before, we've done a property tour on this before as a short-term rental, and it was doing
Mhm.
well. During the season, it did very, very well. But the problem was in the summers, this community doesn't have a pool and the property doesn't have a pool. So it's more challenging to get it booked in the summer heat. And there's also not a lot of activities around the school. It's too hot for hiking and mountain climbing and those types of activities during the summer here in Arizona. Um, so you'll not see as much activity on those types of activities, I should say, people coming in to do those items. And so we were like, okay, what are we going to do? So we started talking to our property manager at the time for the short-term rental, and we started evaluating, okay, maybe we need to make this a midterm rental, meaning a 3-month rental, right? For professionals who are traveling, people who are relocating, or perhaps even insurance claims, people who've had, fire, water damage, or other issues where they have to vacate their property for repairs and need a place to live short term. So our property manager did not handle that type. So we said, okay, let's step away from you. We've had a good partnership, we've had a good run. We're going to take it out of your hands since you don't handle this type of strategy. You don't handle these types of rentals here in Arizona. They do in California, just not here in Arizona. And we're going to take it ourselves and we're going to start looking at what's going on. And we ended up with traveling professionals. The current tenants are actually moving out this weekend, and they're from Texas. They were in for work for 6 months. And so we rented it for 6 months. We actually ended up making a lot more money because with a furnished rental, and we'll show you the numbers, the property is able to rent at a very high rate. They pay all the utilities because it is not a short-term rental. So it's not a constant turnover of individuals in and out of the property. So the tenants take care of the utilities. And we didn't have property management because it's just a single family. So we manage it ourselves at this point. As our portfolio grows or as we expand into multifamily, which is what we're looking at now, that at that point, we'll probably put property management back in place for the entire portfolio. But right now, we're just self-managing this property. So we don't have those costs at all. And the only thing we actually pay for on this property, aside from the mortgage, taxes, and insurance, which are standard for any homeowner, the only item that we pay for is pest control, because out here in Arizona, we have scorpions. And I would prefer not to have my tenants see scorpions in the house or in the yard if we can prevent it. So to make sure that the property is being treated on a regular basis, we do take that cost on.
So who pays the utilities and things like that? Did you mention that?
Yep, the tenants are paying all the utilities.
Fantastic. And so by shifting the strategy, you were actually able to increase your income, is what it sounds like, your cash flow.
Absolutely. On a more consistent basis, we are making more cash flow. During the height of the short-term rental season, we're actually making less. However, over the course of a year, we're making more because the strategy allows us to make that money during the off season when we would barely be making our payments with this property for about 4 months during the heat of the summer.
That's awesome. So someone asked a question in here about insurance companies. So how did that all come together? How were you able to relay that information that you had this type of property available for them?
Repeat the question again, please.
Somebody asked about insurance companies. You were talking about, this probably would be really great for someone who was dealing with a loss, whether it was fire, whether it was, water or whatever it might be. How did you reach out to insurance companies basically?
They have actually reached out to us. We still use rental platforms like Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, and Furnish Finder. So we do have the property listed on all of those platforms, and those are the platforms that we have found that the insurance companies will be looking for housing for their people. And
yeah, you mentioned the last one you mentioned was Furnish Finder. I've heard that's very, very popular for insurance companies.
It is. It absolutely is. A lot of traveling professionals, like your traveling nurses. Actually, our property that we have in Scottsdale, we have a couple of CEOs who are relocating, or IT professionals, visiting professors, those types of people who are looking on Furnished Finder as opposed to Airbnb or VRBO because the fees are less for them.
Awesome. So where have there been any of the particular classes, the trainings that you've gone through our community that have really helped you with all this business, with this strategy specifically?
Oh my gosh, yes. And when we need to pivot, it's been extremely helpful to have, a huge catalog of classes and people to reach out to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can you walk me through this, right? Even after I've gone through the classes, such as the short-term rental classes, the property management classes, the how to manage property managers, which I wish I had known when we had our property in Michigan, but unfortunately we didn't. And it cost us a ridiculous amount of money. But just how to analyze a property, how to find a property, not necessarily through a realtor, those creative acquisitions classes, so many, just so many that we've used.
Awesome. Absolutely. So Corrie, again, today we're going to have a lot of folks on that are kind of checking the community out, checking out, what's going on, how they can plug in. They're maybe trying to decide, do they want to get into real estate investing? Or maybe, they've tried it before, like you guys, you went through it and, you didn't have this community, didn't have the education. And, back during the crash of 08, 09, it was not good for you guys. And you still cycled back and you saw this opportunity, saw this group and this community, and you plugged back in. And obviously, folks are trying to decide, is this the group I want to be with? what kind of feedback can you give people on that? What could you tell them before because I know everybody loves to see the numbers here in a couple minutes.
Yep.
Well, what kind of feedback could you give everybody?
From somebody who's been there, done that the wrong way and learned the lessons the hard way, having the support, having the education, having the community and the boots on the ground. We've evaluated properties in multiple states. I've had people actually go and walk properties for me from outside my area who are within the community and run numbers with me, help me find resources, whether it's lenders, whether it's private money, whether it's partners for deals. They've all come within the community. It's an invaluable resource of endless possibilities because there is just so much value, not only to the education that's available, but also the community of people and the willingness of, I won't say all, but the majority to help. And the general feel of the community is truly, let me help you up, because as I help you, I help myself, right? So everything rises. We rise together. We're not independent. We're not out there sitting and flailing around or having somebody ask us for extra money because we wanted them to help us. It's all about working together in a positive environment to foster that growth of not only the community, but of each other.
Very nice. Yeah, I absolutely align with you on those thoughts and my experiences as well. So you guys acquired this property how long ago?
2 years.
2 years. That's what I thought. It's been a while. I remember in the beginning, and then so how long ago did you shift to the midterm strategy from just the short-term rental strategy?
In May. So we let it ride as a short-term rental for a year and a half, roughly. And, we wanted to give it a full year to see, how it was going to perform and then make adjustments as necessary. And this went live as a short-term rental November of 2021. And from there, we were at a year, we were, in the short-term rental season again. So we let it ride through that season. And then we evaluated everything and made our adjustments in May. Our tenants moved in May.
In May. Awesome. So that's May, June, July, August, September, October, and now we're in the seventh month. Does that sound right?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. That's awesome. So do you want to go ahead and share some numbers with everybody on?
Absolutely. Let me scroll back up to the top here. So this is where the property is. It is a midterm, long-term rental strategy now. As we said, it was a short-term rental. But if you want to look at the pictures, here's the address, you're welcome to go look at the entire Zillow, Trulia, Redfin listing. They're there. Or on Furnished Finder, you can see how we did that. You can search for the property and you're welcome to do so. I will warn you, if you look at the Zillow listing, it does show the old pictures still, along with the ones that you just saw from before the owners that we purchased it from purchased it. So you can see the transition from where they purchased it to what we purchased. So you can see all the upgrades and changes that they made if you go through Zillow. I haven't seen it on Redfin or Trulia like that, but it is there in Zillow for sure.
Awesome.
And it's very curious to see because wow, it's different. So our purchase price on this one was $314,250. We took a conventional loan for $267,113, and we had private money of $65,000 that my husband and I just recently refinanced out. So
So talk a little bit about the conventional loan or when you say conventional, so did you guys literally, when you acquired it from the get-go, did you go to a mortgage company? Did you go
We
to a
did.
third-party lender?
Hmm.
Okay,
Nope,
you
we
did.
went to a
Okay,
mortgage company. Hmm.
okay, okay. And then the private money, what was that used for? Was that used for updates, rehab, things like that? Any repairs,
So,
staging?
yep. So the private money was used to make up the difference between the purchase price and the conventional loan, as well as the staging and other items that we needed to get the short-term rental up and running. And
Absolutely. Now, you guys were in a position where you could get a conventional loan. So talk a little bit about, just briefly, if somebody was on today and they're going, that's great, but I can't, I couldn't get a conventional loan. I can't qualify for conventional loan. Could you
yep,
kind of talk to that a little bit about what other options they might have?
absolutely. And we've used some of those other options on our other properties. We have hard money lenders, meaning people who lend on the asset, the value of the asset, not your ability to purchase a home and afford the mortgage. They look at what is the value of that asset? Is it going to make the money that it needs to make to repay this loan? As opposed to the bank who looks at how much money are you making? What are your debts? Can you make this payment? They look at the hard money lenders don't look at your personal assets as much. They look at what you're purchasing, what you plan to do with it, whether it's a rental, whether it's a fix and flip. They're looking at the value and are they going to be able to get their money back with the interest that they're charging at the end. That's all they want to see. And there's also private money, like we used here. We used a private money lender from within the community, and that person got paid, monthly payments, quarterly in this case, but oftentimes it's monthly on their money. And then there's a point at which you refinance out either of those, whether it's the hard money lender or the private money lender. When you're able and when the property is established or your credit is better established or your income is better established, that you can go and get that conventional loan.
And you
And there are
talked
still
earlier about,
people,
yeah, go ahead.
yep,
I'm sorry.
there are people within the community who actually they have a private bank that they lend from. So you could do the entire transaction from certain people within the community if it meets their guidelines, where they
Yeah,
act as the bank.
and you talked to also partners, because I know we've done some property tours that you've had other partners involved in different deals
Absolutely.
and things like that. A lot of times I've seen where folks will partner with somebody who maybe can get a conventional loan, and
Mm-hmm.
they're what we call the credit partner. So
Correct.
you find the property, you're doing the work, you're managing it, and where they come involved is like, hey, I don't have time to do real estate. But I want to be involved in real estate, but I got good credit. I could qualify for credit for a loan. So
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of folks in our community that have what we call credit partners that are just there to supply their credit, their information, and that's how they get paid. Some people put, sweat in the deal. Some people put, money in the deal. Some people put their skills into the deal, managing their time. And I know that's a real easy, not an easy, but that is a real way. And how I learned how to do that is through our classes on how to have those conversations. How about you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just finished a flip a couple months ago with partners here in Tucson where they were the credit partners and they came to me because they couldn't run the deal. They had the money, they had the credit, but they didn't have the time. And, my value to the project was my time, my ability to make sure that the contractors were getting things completed on time, make sure the supplies were there and available when they needed them. And I essentially became the project manager on the deal. And again,
Absolutely.
those are things that we learn through those classes is you have value. You could be absolutely penniless and still have value to be able to put into a deal because you have value. And there's something that everyone can bring to a deal. You just have to find what that is for you. And there are many, many opportunities. And as we went through classes, I started recognizing more and more of those.
Absolutely. You referred to classes again. I do want to mention to everybody on Corrie today that if you're on as a guest and you'd like to learn more about our community and kind of dive a little bit deeper, right after our property tour today at 5 after the top of the hour, we have a what we call an overview or an introduction to our community, and it really goes into a lot more depth than we can cover during the property tour. So they just talk about how you find the credit, how you use other people's money, how you learn how to take the education and the training that Corrie and I have taken, how to plug into the community and things like that, and use those resources. And so get back with who invited you. Maybe shoot them a text if you're on your phone right now. Send them a text and say, hey, I'd like to jump on right after this property tour and learn more about everything. And they'll set you up. It's on a different Zoom link. So they'll get you all set up and get that link for you. So if you got some time, it'll be well worth it. And they'll get you plugged in, whoever brought you out today or introduced you to this property tour. So Corrie, if you want to keep going through any other numbers, that would be great.
I do. So these were our setup expenses for the property. We paid $3,600 roughly for the furniture listed, the master bedroom furniture, the living room furniture, the outdoor furniture, and all the appliances from the previous owners. They didn't want to move with that, but there's value in those items because we didn't have to go out and find them, right? We didn't have to go shopping. We didn't have to waste time to shop. We didn't have to buy. We didn't have to wait for them to be delivered. We didn't have to put those pieces together. We didn't like none of that. It was done for us. It stayed, it was there, it was ready to go. We spent approximately $5,500 on the additional items, mostly from Amazon. We did source some things locally as well, and that was setting up the kitchen, the other two bedrooms, all the linens, lamps, the dining room tables, the bathrooms, all the decor, and all of the cleaning supplies and items that were necessary to get the property running as a short-term rental initially. Since it is no longer a short-term rental, but it is a furnished midterm, long-term rental, all of those items stayed in place. So we didn't have to take them out for a tenant to come in and end up paying extra for a storage unit. So they are still in place. So this is what everybody wants to know, right? This is the deal. So our rent is currently $2,900 a month plus utilities. Our HOA payment is $150 a quarter or $50 a month. Our pest control is every 2 months at $75, which is $32.50 a month. And our mortgage is $1,574 a month, which includes our taxes and insurance, which are escrowed and paid by the mortgage company, which gives us a monthly profit of $1,243.50.
Wow, I love those numbers. So now, again, talk a little bit about the tenants paying the utilities. How do you do that?
So when we have a lease, an actual lease, when you're doing short term or you don't have a lease, right? Everything is done through those short-term platforms like VRBO, Airbnb, and sometimes Furnished Finder, but Furnished Finder is typically a longer stay. So because this is a midterm, short-term rental, we do have a lease with the tenants, and part of that lease is that they are responsible for all utilities as well. So they put the utilities in their name. When they move out, the next tenant puts the utilities in their name. So it's just a smooth roll of transition roll through them.
So very similar to a long-term rental, they're doing the same thing. So if they want Wi-Fi, if they want internet, if they want cable, that's all on them. So
exactly.
that really cuts down on your expenses.
It does.
So that's awesome, Corrie. That's like that, for people that are on today, this is one deal. And you mentioned you have the Scottsdale deal, you've got other things going on. that, for most people, an additional $1,200 a month is huge.
It is.
It changes a household, a family, just basically how people live. And I love that. That's really good. See, and so just to kind of give everybody a little idea, you were doing short-term rental before, and you mentioned to everybody like during the summer you weren't able to, keep it full because of the heat and what goes on weather-wise there. So roughly, how much more profit are you recognizing because of it being a midterm rental?
Because of it being a midterm rental, those summer months, honestly, what we had during the short-term rental season basically carried us through the summer months, and we ended up after that first year, we were able to really analyze it, like I said, and we found that we were only making about $5,000 each, my partner who is in the deal and I, a quarter. So, which is not a lot of money. While it can be life-changing, but for a short-term rental, that's not a lot of money. And when you're looking at using that money up over the summer months to carry the property because your income is not meeting your expenses, in the end, we were really only making about $10,000 a year each. And that's my private money partner there is who I'm talking about. And with this strategy, I mean, if you do the math, you can see that my husband and I, are making, a considerable amount more than that now. We're making about $20,000 a year profit off of this property.
Okay, that's awesome. So, Corrie, as we're wrapping up today, let's go back here. If you want to take that slide off, we'll go back to just you if we could. There we go.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up today, we've got a few minutes. It's always nice to end these property tours where maybe you could give a little bit of recommendation or words of wisdom or what golden nuggets, whatever you want to call it, for folks that are on today, just trying to figure out this whole real estate investing or our community, trying to decide, do I want to plug in? Do I want to learn more about the community? And do I want to get started with the group? And, I know what went through my mind and what was the triggers for me. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and give folks, maybe a little summary here or thoughts if you could to wrap things up?
Yeah, absolutely. If I could say something to anyone who is looking to get started or even has questions about real estate investment, I can tell you, please learn from my mistakes and get the education first. We didn't know what we didn't know. We thought we knew what we were doing. We didn't. We really didn't. I mean, hindsight 2020, right? Everybody says, "Oh, I can see clearly everything after you're through whatever's going on." In this situation, it's a lot easier to see where you went wrong and how to make those changes and adapt to the situations that you're looking to pursue. When you have that education, when you have that team behind you for support, when you have a community to lean on, when you have outreach available to you in all 50 states, when you have resources that not just classes, not just education, not just people, but resources available to you as well, whether it's legal, whether it's credit monitoring and credit repair. There's just so much. There's so much you don't realize that you don't know. And there's things that you may say, "Oh, I know all about, ABC." But when you start going through and learning from the community and learning from the classes, there's so much that you don't realize that you don't know because you just don't know. And, following in the footsteps of these people who have done hundreds and oftentimes thousands or tens of thousands of deals and have been in the real estate investing game. One of the instructors has been in the game for 40, 50 years. And learning from people with that much depth and wisdom in their specific strategies, and then people in the community who are picking up from them and taking the ball further and faster than the people who are bringing us the value in those classes is just invaluable. It really is. And the community, including the instructors, everybody's willing to help. Everybody's willing to step outside their box and say, oh, you need a hand? Okay, awesome. Let me give it to you. And having the Coach Gavin is amazing. He's a very, very straight to it guy. He's going to tell you, straight up, like, this is what I think you need to do. This is where you need to head. But even having resources when the instructors are doing live, and they will share their email with you, or sometimes a phone number, so that they have the availability, you have the availability to reach out to them, even if you can't get a hold of somebody in the community who's doing what you want to do.
Well, Corrie, this has been a fantastic property tour, and it's been very uplifting and inspiring for me to see how you switched from the short-term platform to the midterm platform. And I know that's a really popular strategy currently, but just overall your story, and the fact that you guys went through a really rough time back in 08, 09, and it's hard to imagine, that was like, what, 15 years ago?
It
Uh,
was.
oh my gosh. And the fact that you guys just drove yourselves and you just were committed to get back in the business. And I know the key for that was the community and the education. And I'm so glad you're a part of our community. And I thank you so much for coming out today. Sorry we couldn't see Ron. Give him our best. And I appreciate you very much. For everybody who's on today, again, if you'd like to plug in and learn more about our community and about the mentorship and the classes, and how to use other people's money and how to use other people's credit and learn about those things, get back to invited you today, and they can send you a link that you can jump on after this. It starts promptly right after the top of the hour, no later than 5 after. So, you want to get on right there at the top of the hour, and they'll send you that text and get you, it's a different Zoom link, and they'll get you set up. Corrie, thank you very much for coming out. Again, if you're on today, we'd love to see you back out next Saturday at the same time. We will be back out to the East Coast, so we're going to jump all the way from Arizona back out to the East Coast, and we're going to be featuring an investor that over the last 4 years, we've never had this individual out. So I'm really excited to have him and what he's doing out. And please join us. Make sure you put on the calendar Thanksgiving Saturday. We will not be on. We're going to let everybody take that time to be with family, friends, and loved ones, and just be able to spend time with everybody. So, Corrie, please give Ron our best. Thank you again very much. Got a lot of compliments coming through, Corrie, for you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Corrie, take care, and we'll see you soon, okay?
Yep. See you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Corrie. Bye-bye.
Bye.